and welcome to tonight's edition of Fearless Flight Live. I'm Capt Ron, and along with Dieter Staudinger, we are really glad that you're here. Whether you're watching live or if you're catching it on the replay, this is your space and community and your opportunity to learn and connect with others and take the next step towards overcoming your flight anxiety. Tonight, we're going to tackle one of the biggest questions that many of you ask me, and that's, what if I panic on the plane? This fear is so common. As a matter of fact, I got a specific request just today that I'm going to share with you. It's so common and yet so manageable once you understand how panic works and how to interrupt it and how to create a personal panic plan that you can carry with you on every flight. So here's what you can expect tonight during the show. We're going to break down the panic cycle and show you exactly where you can step in before it gets to the panic stage. And we'll help you create a personal panic plan together so you have your own step-by-step playbook ready to go. And as a segue, I'm going to talk about this a lot more too on our monthly live group coaching webinar next Thursday, September 18th. We'll talk about tools like the Fearless Flight Harmonizer and custom neurosync guided visualizations that train your brain to calm you before you get into the panic situation. And we're going to talk a little bit about positive reframes. What is a reframe and how you can use that. And if you're ready to go deeper and you're in the right place and correctly positioned, we got some opportunities coming up. We got the 101 LA edition coming up on September 20th, and then another follow-up 101 on October 11th. Those are both hosted at Air Hollywood in a real fuselage mock-up. And of course, you've also got the boarding area there, which we hold much of the class in. And of course, these are both leading to, along with our Fearless, or our Phoenix Cleared for Takeoff 101 classes, they lead to our Cleared for Takeoff 301 graduation flight. This is our flight class where you get to put everything into practice on a real flight with real live support there. So we'll talk about that as well. As always, this show is for you, and we sent out a little bit of a teaser this earlier today, and what I included in that was we really want you to drop your questions, any questions, into the chat. If we don't get to them tonight, we'll get to them. Don't worry. And more importantly, we want you to send us questions if you can't, especially if you can't attend the weekly class or the weekly show live. We want to get your questions on here because this is what it's all about. It's about answering your questions. We talk about, whatever we think is relevant, but it's really, really much more our design and our goal to talk about what's relevant to you. So let's dive in together and take a closer look at a little bit more about panic and some of the upcoming things that we've got here. So let's get started here. Let me share. Okay, and of course, we always want to mention our Birds of a Feather Facebook group that Dieter and I want to personally invite you to join. We got a lot of people in there. I don't know, we're up over 2,000 now, right, Dieter?
Not quite, but it feels like it because there's a lot of stuff going on, and I just want to do a quick shout out to Grace. Grace just posted a few hours ago of a very successful trip to Baltimore and back. And if you haven't seen it, we interviewed Grace just a few weeks earlier. Definitely look up that interview. Very inspiring and lots of good tips that Grace had for all of us on how to prepare just in general, how to prepare for your flight and what helped her. And also, that's a good segue. We have also the Cleared for Takeoff 101 in Phoenix actually still coming up. Is that right, Ron?
Yep, this Saturday night. Yep, from 6 to 8 o'clock at the Sky Harbor Airport.
Okay, didn't want to miss that. Okay.
Yeah, and just to tell you how effective the Birds is, I just last week we postponed class. I actually took a little bit of a mini vacation here and went to something I'd never ever heard of. It was let's see what it's called. It's called the Meeker Classic Dog Trials. And what is that, you ask? Well, it's something I've never experienced. As I said, they have the people that come and they train these border collies to herd sheep. And you might think, geez, that's probably as exciting as watching wax melt. I'm telling you, this was like, if the crowd watching this was like watching professional golf, where everybody gets quiet. During several moments here, you watch these dogs manage these flocks of sheep, bring them in, separate them, put them in a pen and stuff like that. It was fascinating. But the reason I mentioned this more than anything is because one of our most recent Birds of a Feather folks came into the Birds of a Feather. She commented or wrote to me. She was having trouble. She had this trip coming up. And so she ended up doing a 15-minute coaching session and got on track. And man, I said, well, where are you flying to upcoming? Because it was on in September here. And she said, oh, I'm going to Colorado. I said, well, where in Colorado? She said, Meeker. And of all the coincidences, she and her family were coming out to attend this as well. So I got a chance, a rare chance to meet somebody that calls in from somewhere else in the country or the world and meet them privately within about 6 weeks of first making contact. So, and she promised me she's going to come on and be our guest in the upcoming weeks there. So anyway, so Birds of a Feather, whether you're just getting started working on this, or you've been there for a while, it's a safe, private space filled with people who get it and they get you. And you'll get encouragement, you'll get some guidance from people who are at various stages. And most importantly, you realize you're not alone. So we call it Birds of a Feather because you all join in and flock together in it. And we really like that. We're really happy with what's happened. And if you're not a member, click on this link and click the Join Now button and say hello. Tell us where you're flying from. Same thing if you're online right now on Facebook. Just drop a remark in there where you're at and say hi to the group. And if you got a question, please bring that up as well. So again, here's the things we're going to do. We're going to really practical and inspiring topic called how to overcome fear of flying. But more importantly, what if I panic on an airplane? And we'll walk through some steps on that and help you maybe get some insights in that. So again, welcome everybody. If you're just joining us tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about what if I panic on the plane. And I had a fearful flyer just today, but I've been working with her, and she wrote me a message and said, if, say, someone had a panic attack and wanted to get off the plane, is it possible? Are there places that the plane can land before the final destination? I'm not afraid of flying, not the turbulence even, just feeling like being able to get off the plane. If I knew I could get off before arrival, that might be helpful. And she's got an upcoming flight. This one is only, the one she just took was about 45 minutes. She got her confidence up, but she's got a 3-hour flight coming up, and the extra length on that is causing her a little bit of concern. And then she closes with, not that I plan on that happening ever, but just hypothetically. So in the end, when I get done with this, I'll give you the specific answer that I gave to her about this. So with that, let's talk a little bit about this. Why we're here. What if I panic? Let's talk about panic. If you've ever felt that sudden rush of fear on an airplane or anywhere for that matter, you know how overwhelming it feels and it can be. Your heart races, your chest tightens, your breathing speeds up, and if you're like me, your palms start sweating, and it feels as though you've lost control. And that's the underlying theme here, or issue for all of us when we have anxiety. It's we don't feel like we're in control. But what's really happening? What's really happening when you feel this way? And more importantly, why does it occur? What is panic? Well, panic is your body's emergency alarm system kicking into overdrive. It's the fight or flight response, and it's designed by nature to protect you from danger. In prehistoric times, if when our ancestors saw a predator, their brain had to act fast. No time to think, no time to reason. And so we evolved into this automatic adrenaline pump function, where the adrenaline flooded our system and caused our heart to pound and got our body prepared to either run or to fight. In modern life, it looks and feels exactly the same. But here's the catch. It usually happens when there's no real threat. The mechanism that makes that happen doesn't know the difference between real and imagined danger. And so your brain mistakes a harmless situation like sitting on an airplane for danger. And panic is not proof that something wrong. It's proof that your alarm system is sensitive. Why does it occur? Panic shows up, especially in places like airplanes, because your emotional brain, that part we sometimes call the elephant brain, reacts faster than your logical brain, the rider. And that's the key. They both respond, but the emotional brain is faster. It's automatic. And the elephant, your elephant brain feels the turbulence or notices the door closing and instantly sounds the alarm. Danger. Even if your rider knows that the flying is safe, the elephant's response is powerful and automatic and usually overrides the rider's response. It thrives on what we tell ourselves. Thoughts like, what if I can't escape? Or what if I lose control? Two that my fearful flyer wrote in about. It feeds the alarm system, turning your normal body sensations like faster heartbeat into something that's really terrifying. In truth, your body is simply doing what it's wired to do. It's just trying to get you ready for if there were a real threat. And the important thing to remember is this: panic is a false alarm. It feels urgent and real, but it's not evidence of danger. And let me say that again. It feels urgent and real, but it is not evidence of danger. It's evidence, on the contrary, of your brain's amazing, but sometimes overactive and overreactive survival system. The reassurance. Here's the good news. Panic always passes. Your body can't stay in this panic mode forever. And with the right tools, breathing, reframing thoughts, using a supportive self-directed or self-distanced self-talk, you can write it out and even retrain your brain. And when you understand what panic is, a false alarm, and why it occurs, a misfiring of your protective mechanism, you take away its mystery. And when panic is no longer a mystery, it loses a lot of its power. It's not going to go away instantly, but it will if you stay focused and do it over time and have some practice with exposure. So the next time you feel panic rising, remind yourself, this is just my alarm system. It's loud, but it's not accurate, and it will pass. And each time you face it, you're going to build more confidence to keep going, not just in flying, but in every part of your life. And this is one of the most reassuring things that I find in helping people, is to hear back from them that it happened, that it helped them not only with their anxiety about flying, but their other areas of their life. So let's talk a little bit about the biology of flight. What's really happening in your body when panic strikes? Because when you know the origin or the biology of panic, it takes away some of the mystery and a lot of its power. Your brain has a built-in alarm system, and it's designed to keep you safe. It's called the amygdala, and we've talked about that probably till you're blue in the face. And the job of the amygdala is to scan for danger 24/7. It never takes the night off, unless you overdo it with drugs or alcohol. And when it thinks you're in danger, it pushes this big red button, if you can imagine, and it activates what's called the fight or flight response. And in that instant, your body releases adrenaline and cortisol and other stress hormones. And it isn't subtle, it's designed to mobilize you right away. It's designed to grab and in many cases hijack your attention without waiting for a second opinion. And that's the thing you want to remember. It doesn't wait for a second opinion. That's where your rider brain comes in. And here's what the adrenaline surge does. It speeds up your heart rate to pump blood to the larger muscles in your body. Your breathing quickens so you can get more oxygen to those muscles, and your digestion slows down because you don't need to process lunch if you're running from a tiger and worried more about being lunch. You also increase in your perspiration, as I mentioned, and sometimes I notice at first in sweaty palms. I can tell you right now, probably picture yourself on the edge of the Grand Canyon, looking over the edge. And if you're like me, even me telling the story, my palms begin to sweat. And the sweating increases because it's cooling your body in case you need to sprint or defend yourself. Your vision narrows also, and your hearing sharpens. That's why you notice much more than other people who are not anxious on an airplane, all the sights, sounds, and sensations that are going on that airplane. And it gives you that overactive attention, that hyperactive sensation, and you focus on the perceived threat. And all of this happens in a split second before your logical brain even knows what's going on. That's why breathing, the number one goal of breathing is to just slow you down and remind you to try to engage the rider part of your brain. And this is where panic can feel terrifying. On an airplane or anywhere, any circumstance where there's no actual threat, your brain still has pulled the fire alarm. You feel the pounding heart, you feel the shortness of breath, the dizziness, and your mind interprets those as danger. So now, once the biology starts, it aggravates and increases your sense of danger because you notice all these reactions in there. And it becomes this loop where the sensations scare you, the fear, and your fear of the sensations make them even stronger. And flying is particularly unique in this. It creates a perfect storm for this. You're in a confined space. You can't escape if you want to. You may have something like turbulence or unfamiliar noises that act as powerful triggers. And your amygdala reacts first, saying, danger. Don't eat. And even though the facts and the data from these decades that we've described of increases in aviation safety, even though they say otherwise. So panic isn't about weakness or a lack of willpower or something wrong with you. It's about your biology. Your survival system is simply firing at the wrong time in the wrong place. And then the next thing that happens is and what I really want you to get is the most important takeaway is this: panic is not evidence of danger. It's not evidence that there's something real that's threatening you. It's evidence that you got an overactive alarm system doing what it's designed to do, sometimes too well. And that's why we got to tweak it. And here's the good news: just as your body turns panic on, it also turns it off. So in the sympathetic nervous system is what we've been talking about. It's the one that amps you up like the accelerator on a car. But the parasympathetic nervous system is the one that slows you down, and you can activate that part too. The adrenaline surge is going to burn out, no less than if you're trying to hold a couple of weights in front of you in the gym. You just can't do that forever because your body loses the ability to produce adrenaline. And your nervous system is just like that. It returns to its baseline, and that's why panic always passes. So remember, when you understand the biology of panic, you can start to see it differently. It's not some mysterious monster. It's a normal bodily system and a bodily reaction, just a little too sensitive at times. You're not likely to be one of those people who gets jumped in a blind alley because you're operating on a more alert system. But with the right tools, breathing, reframing, distance self-talk, things like that, you can retrain that system and step back into the pilot seat of your life and get that control or the feeling of control back that you thought that you lost. On this slide, you see the panic cycle, and we're going to go through it step by step. And you'll see that there's 3 early points where you can step in and keep panic from escalating. Every episode starts with a trigger. It can be a thought. What if I panic? It can be a bodily sensation like a flutter in the chest or a upset stomach, or an external cue like the seatbelt sign or a bump of turbulence. And this is one of the places you can make and normalize it. And we call it name and normalize, but there's another more slang expression. You got to name it to tame it. And clearly it's early. And so you say, there's the trigger. And then you normalize it when you say, this is my brain doing safety checks. And there's 2 quick lines you can use. And one is not a problem, just a trigger. And closely followed by, I've met this before and I have a plan. Okay? Next one, chemistry changes. Next, your body answers with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate rises, your breathing goes shallow, your palm sweats. This is the fight or flight reflex, not danger. It's a response. And another early intervention you can do, you can lower your arousal over the next 20 to 30 seconds. You can shift your physiology before your thoughts run away. How do you do this? You inhale for 4 seconds and exhale for 6. You can feel your belly move under your hand. So you can put one hand on your tummy, the other one on your chest, and you breathe in 4 seconds and exhale for 6. Some relax points. Notice your jaw. If it's clenched, relax it. Notice your shoulders. If they're up around your ears like I do with mine, let them down. And if your legs are crossed, uncross them. Then exhale, longer exhale, like we said, 6 seconds, to tell your nervous system that you're safe. And so you go in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, or out, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And now your mind will try to explain those sensations. And if we don't intervene, it picks up a scary headline and says, hey man, something's wrong and I'm losing control. And that scary story feeds the chemistry. If you can swap the headline and come back to the present, that's another place where you can reframe it. Distant self-talk helps that. You say, hey, Ron, this is a false alarm. Uncomfortable, but not dangerous. You can orient yourself to the present moment. I'm sitting here in seat 14A. I'm buckled in. The aircraft is stable. The crew's calm. They're probably not even aware that I'm going through this. And then if it happens to be turbulence, you can say, this is just the texture of the air. This is like riding down a whitewater river. And the airplane is built for this. And then there is something that some of you do called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this is the quick version. Name one thing you see, 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, and so on. And the thing you want to do is invite this personal reframe so you can change the perception that you have. And then one of the things that happens is escalation due to the feedback loop. If we miss these early steps, steps 1, 2, and 3, your fear of fear ramps up. And that's what anticipatory anxiety is for most of you. It's fear of your own fear. We monitor every sensation, breathe faster, and the loop tightens. And even in here, there's possibility for recovery. The good news is the chemical surge is time limited. Like we talked about, you treat it like a wave. Give it 90 seconds of low and slow breathing. And I've seen people do amazing things with just 3 reps of the in for 4 and out for 6. So just 30 seconds, you make a dent in it. But if you can have the presence of mind to do it for 90 seconds, it's going to be even better. And you can anchor yourself by putting your hands on your ribs or your belly, and you can feel your breath move just to remind you what you're doing. And support, we recommend highly that you use the harmonizer and maybe a custom visualization, sip water, chew on some ice, ask your coach for eye contact, and a calm reminder that you're safe and stay in your breath. The most important thing is to lean into it and don't fight it. Let this pass through you rather than over you. And the resolution is that every spike resolves. Your body can't stay redlined. It's going to settle and it's going to capture a quick win. And when you do, you say, I noticed it, I used my tools, and it passed. This teaches your brain a new association: trigger, tools, and calm. And these are the 5 things that you do, for 3 of which the first ones are the ones that you can do an intervention on yourself and keep the thing going. Before we move on, just think to yourself, what part of the cycle grabs you the most? The trigger, the body, or the story you tell yourself? Drop it in the chat, and we'll see if we can come up with some exercises to help you out individually. One of the things I encourage is journaling or sharing. Naming your fear helps. And if you have the presence of mind to jot down this moment, keep a little note of what happened, what it was that was the trigger, and you can work on this in the future. And a reflection prompt. What does this panic mean to you? What's the story that you're telling yourself? What is it that you're afraid of if will happen if you panic on an airplane? Okay. Anybody, any action out there, Dieter, or I
Oh,
completely?
there's a lot going on. Lots of comments, lots of not particularly questions. I just replied to a couple of them. It's just it really struck a nerve, this presentation, because I think a lot of people actually, um like Steven said, one of his fears is being stuck on a runway because of delay on takeoff, right? So,
Yeah,
and for him, just knowing there's a couple things around him, like, water and snacks, it's part of what you were saying before, like being already prepared for when it possibly happens, right?
yeah,
It's really good to know that that can be one of your triggers. And the other thing that, as a therapist, I just want to throw this in. You can feel anxiety or high anxiety for a long time, but panic attacks per se are usually not longer than 10 minutes, and they usually peak around 6 to 8 minutes or so, but they can come in waves, right?
yeah, yeah.
And there's actually a question that just came in and says, um, why does flying over the ocean feel so much worse for me? So, um, I don't know if that instills a panic in Rosie or not. But maybe you can speak to what what exactly can make flying over water particularly challenging for people.
Yeah, that's a really common thing. And in the 38 years that I've been fielding questions like that from people, the thing that I conclude, number one, is it's a story that you're telling yourself. Uh, and the story can vary. The fundamental part of it is, and this is gonna play out when you see the answer at the end that I gave to that one of our fellow members that wrote me a text. And that is the fear that there's no place to go if something goes wrong in the airplane. Hey, common sense tells you that you can't land on the water out there. And then common sense further backs it up and says, if you don't have any place to land, then you're going to end up in the water if something goes wrong. And so it takes some defenses on many, many fronts. One is we don't fly anywhere when we don't have plans to land somewhere. And the timing may be a little bit different, but before we go over water, and this is a kind of a double opportunity for double things, we're going to talk about flying over water again this Thursday or next Thursday in the monthly live group coaching session, and we're going to specifically address this with a breakout activity that you see on the screen there called Personal Panic Plan. We're going to help people. You're going to get to try this with other people in the group, and if you've got some questions around this, it's a great opportunity to do that. You can join. You get this free as part of the Fearless Flyer Club for as little as $37 a month, or you can do just next Thursday at one-time event of $47, and we highly encourage that. But the answer to the question that was raised there is basically it's a story that you're telling yourself. So how do you do that? You got to learn more about what it means to fly over water, and we don't even call it over water flying anymore in the commercial airline community. We call it extended twin engine operation procedures. What do I do when I'm flying for an extended period of time over an area that doesn't have as many alternates as it does like land, or and even in land, you can fly. There's some pretty remote parts of the Earth that are over just land with no suitable alternate airfields for a commercial airliner. So we're going to talk about that. But the short answer to the question is it's the story you're telling yourself that makes it more of an issue. Okay, so we're going to do that this breakout activity in live on next Thursday, September 18th. So, okay. So that's what I wanted to talk about as far as is guiding you through this activity of developing a personal panic plan. And as Dieter alluded to again, one of the most surprising things to people is they just never thought that you can actually prepare for your flight in advance. Yes, it's true. You can't have all the stress of being in the airplane with the door closed. And we try to help you out if you can get to Phoenix or get to LA and do one of the live classes. But if you can't, it seems overwhelming. It's not. You got to learn some things. And if you look at the literally thousands of people that we've talked to in the last 38 years, you're going to see that you can do it. So, well, this is kind of a reference to something you shouldn't be familiar with yet. Dieter has helped me to develop a new quiz that we are going to launch here. We just talked with the developers again this past week, and we have designed a test that will give you detailed information as to how some of your anxiety related to flight manifest. And these are just three of the key names that Dieter has come up with. A somatic storyteller, that's somebody who responds primarily or first and foremost to their body symptoms. Escape strategist, this is one that a lot of you are going to probably show up as, and that's fear of being trapped. And then we have the control commander, fear of losing control. And each and what we're developing, Dieter and I've been talking about, we got some big changes. We're going to do a website makeover, and part of that is the opportunity for anybody out there who wants to take this 10-minute survey and come up with some specific strategies that or specific identities that may help you, among other things, to identify what is the unique nature of your fear of flying by one of these. And there's 8 of them altogether. And it's to help you try to normalize your experience by showing how predictable patterns of fear show up depending on what your preferences are, if you will. So a little bit of mystery, a little bit of a hook there. I hope you'll stick with us. We're hoping to get this launched by the first of the year and maybe as early as December. Big changes coming by. Okay, a couple of tools we want to highlight here that are designed to train your nervous system before flights. We want to emphasize how practicing calm before stepping on the airplane is really one of the best things you can do. And the two tools that are at the forefront of that now are long-standing, long-used, and highlighted Fearless Flight Harmonizer. I'm sure Dieter will put a link in there if you want information on that. If you don't have it, if you go in the Birds of the Flight group, ask anybody if they've got the harmonizer and what they say about it. And then we've started to enhance this in the last year for people who do as little as a 15-minute coaching call. Sometimes one of the benefits out of that is I get enough data to take the transcript from that and custom script what we call a neural sync guided visualization. So this is and we don't expressly say one or the other of these. We recommend that you get the harmonizer, but we recommend that you, if fear of flying and your anxiety is particularly problematic for you, we recommend you look into custom neural sync guided visualizations. And we've had some people on here talked about being the benefactors of both of those. Okay, let's talk about reframe. What it means to reframe. It's one of the most powerful tools that you can use when anxiety shows up. And it's called reframing. And what it means is literally building a new attitude or outlook or perception of a story that you're telling yourself. It means taking a thought that fuels your fear and giving it a new, more accurate story. It doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine. Absolutely not. It means seeing the same situation through a lens that's truer and more helpful. For example, some more positive reframes would be, instead of panic is a false alarm, or panic is a false alarm, not a real danger. Your nervous system can return to calm, and panic always passes. As we've talked about it, you've survived it before, and you're not alone. Support is available. So that would be an example of how you would reframe panic. When turbulence hits, Many anxious flyers out there, and you may be one of these, instantly think the plane is in danger and we're going to crash. That's the catastrophic reframe or frame. And it takes a normal event and tells a terrifying story around it. What reframing does is it takes that same moment and puts it in a different frame and a different tone and attitude. It turns it into, this is uncomfortable, but it's safe. It's not dangerous. The plane is designed to handle this. And my nervous system is reacting, but it will settle. And it's like changing the headline of a news story. The facts don't change. The way you interpret them does. And we've talked a lot about the impact of the news media, how you read a headline, and headlines are designed to grab you. And when it comes to fear of flying and anxiety and commercial aviation, they do that really successfully by printing some really evocative headlines to get you all amped up. And oftentimes probably not even read or look for the meat in the article to see, did anybody get hurt? No. Did everything end up okay? Yes. So that's what reframing can prevent. There are 4 reframes that you can practice. Panic is a false alarm, not a real danger. Instead of something's wrong with me, try this. This is my body's alarm system misfiring. It feels real, but it's not dangerous. My nervous system can return to calm. Instead of I'll be stuck like this forever, try my body knows how to reset. Every breath is part of that process. Instead of panic always, or along with the one panic always passes, I have survived it before. Instead of I can't handle this, try I've been through this before and it passes and it will again. And the thought I'm not alone, support is available. Instead of I'm trapped and helpless, try there are people, tools, and strategies to help me through this. So say these together with me, silently aloud. As you say each one, notice how it feels in your body to compare to the catastrophic version. And this is the shift that reframing creates. It's you don't erase the fear, but you replace it with a story, one that's truer, calmer, and more supportive. You're just giving yourself a better shot at getting through this. And remember, reframe. Oh, go ahead, Dieter.
I just because there was I'm not sure who was making the statement, but it seems like we have to do it a lot and over, and that is absolutely true. When but what the key really is not just wait until you're on the airplane and until, so to speak, that trigger is coming and going into a full panic. It's like things like Ron was talking about earlier. Imagine yourself standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon and just kind of leaning over and notice, right, how even though you're sitting in your chair and just imagining it, you're having real physiological experience that comes along with that thought, with that image. And so the reframing, yes, of course it's gonna be best when we're triggered, but not overwhelmed. And we don't want to get to the panic to start with these reframes. They can almost become like a mantra, so to speak, something that you can repeat to yourself when you're at a 3 or at a 4 or at a 5, rather than waiting till you're at a 8 or a 9 on your anxiety scale, right? So that's just one thing on how to prepare yourself long before you even get to the airport. That's my point here.
And in the points Dieter's making, think about something, an event that you were really looking forward to. Maybe it's a sporting event, or maybe it's a fun night with your spouse, or a family vacation, something like that. You rehearse that over and over and over again, okay? And there's no problem with that, right? It's fun. You're looking forward to it. And the stories you tell yourself, oh my gosh, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. What we don't realize is there's a thing that's called rehearsing. What we don't realize is there's another kind of rehearsing we do. Oh my God, I got to get on that airplane in 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever, whenever your anticipatory anxiety starts. And you do the same thing Only you try to repress that. You try to pretend like you're not doing that, but you go over and over, just like an actor would trying to learn their lines. So what Dieter said is you got to counteract that. You got to take some of that time in advance of the flight, in the case of flight anxiety, and you got to put some different thoughts through your mind. And reframing is the way to do that. It's about catching the scary story that your brain wants to tell you and rewriting it in real time. That's where journaling comes in. I ask people journaling, and not only journaling, but journaling with your non-preferred hand during your first attempts to really force you to focus on something other than those scary thoughts. Because with practice, your brain starts to believe the new frame. And that's when flying becomes to feel different. We have people every week, nearly every day, write us when they've had successful flights, not all of it, not the whole flight, but parts of the flight that they said, you know what, I caught myself and I noticed the story that I've been telling myself and I was able to reframe it. So that's really, really important. It's a false alarm. It's not a real danger. Your nervous system can return to calm. It will. You're sitting there right now. You're not worried about being in turbulence in an airplane. Panic always passes, and you have survived it before, and you're not alone. Support is available. So you got to do what Dieter suggests. You got to take the bull by the horns and do this on your own. So when we get to the event next week, the monthly group coaching webinar, we're going to have everybody do this. We're going to give them practice. We're going to give them feedback. And we're going to hear some of the things that people talk about and people connect. The most important part of the monthly group coaching webinars is the ability to connect with other people. And there's just no substitute for how important it is to talk to somebody else with the same kind of struggle that you're going through. So you can use, and what you want to do is you want to jot down ideas. You want to come up with a panic plan, which we're going to do next Thursday, and you want to use words or find words or images that ground you. So panic always passes. It does. I don't care who you are. You are not in the same level of anxiety that some of you did, either thinking and not flying, or getting on an airplane and being miserable and then deciding to not fly, or you just had a miserable experience. You have tools. There are tools out there to manage it, and you can approach these flights with a lot greater confidence. And remember, panic does not define your flight experience. You do. And it doesn't seem like it at the early stages of this, but there's nothing truer than who gets to have the last word. You do. And you've got to find those stories, and you got to rearrange them and retell them. And as we come to the end of the time together, and I want to leave you with one of the most important truths: panic always passes. I said that before, and I'm going to say it again. No panic attack in history has lasted forever. It seems like it in the moment. That's why you've got to have other things you can do to prevent it, the likelihood of it leading into it, and some real life things that you can do if and when it should take over. It doesn't last forever, though. Your body simply can't sustain it. It doesn't. The same adrenaline that causes it depletes itself in time. And that means every time panic shows up, you can remind yourself, this too will end. It's a famous thing out of the I Ching. It's called "This Too Shall End." And now, unlike before, you're not walking onto an airplane empty-handed. You got tools. You got at least the notion of a personal panic plan. If you come next week, we're going to get a chance to practice and listen to some other people as they tell you their experiences. You can rely on your breath. It's one of the strongest resources that you have. And reframing, as we mentioned, visualization, and the support community, the birds of a flight, birds of a feather. And these aren't just ideas. They're practical steps that people have been doing that I know of for the last 18 years. And you can take these you get to control your mind instead of it having a mind of its own. And you can get yourself back to that. So next time you step on an airplane, approach it differently. Not as somebody that's waiting helplessly for your fear to take over, but rather somebody that's equipped and prepared and ready to fly with greater confidence. I know it seems untenable to some of you, but that's another opportunity when we meet in these classes to talk to other people and get real life experiences, how they did it and how they're doing. Each flight's not a test, it's a practice. It's an opportunity to build your strength, and we take them one flight at a time. Let me remind you, panic does not define your flight experience. You do. It's not the panic that gets the last word. It's you, your choices, your courage, and your willingness to keep showing up. And I want to return to that person that wrote me, and they asked me, said, what happens if I have a panic attack in flight? And the answer, and they also ask, do we have alternative places to land? Well, we have far more than alternative places to land. We have a lot of things we do, and we're going to start. I know when I have flown, I would tell my flight attendants, if you have anybody back there is having in distress, you want to check to hear what their story is, and oftentimes it can be a panic attack. But the thing that they're trained for, they are not trained as a rule, not as a rule. The airlines do not provide training for the flight attendants per se for panic attacks and flight anxiety. Now, you get some of the senior ones that have been out there, they've had experience calming people down. But if you were to ever have a panic attack and needed help, the crew is most likely, they're going to treat it first like a medical situation to make sure everything is calm. They're going to start asking you what's going on. They may take your pulse. They may take some other vitals. And if they can't, and they're going to ask you for a medical history, and they have a little checklist that they use and that they fill out, because they have access to, whether it's a real or perceived danger or real threat, they have access to qualified medical professionals. Actually, the one service uses St. Joe's Hospital here in Phoenix in real time. It used to be we'd have to go through the pilot and we would pass the notes along and get the answers. Now, many of the airplanes have satellite phones and they can contact them directly. So you're really in a really good position if you should have something like this. And the good news is, by the time they do this and they address it, it's probably going to take more than 10 minutes, and you're probably going to realize it was just anxiety. That's why I want you to introduce yourself to the flight attendants, ask to meet the pilots, talk to them, tell them that you have a little bit of problem with anxiety or you get nervous a little bit when you fly. And that way you got a one leg up. One, you've unloaded some of the stress. Two, you've talked to yourself and made yourself aware that it's more likely that you'll have panic or something that appears like that than it is a real problem. And you realize that it's just anxiety, and they'll help talk you down off that ledge. So yes, there are alternative, there are alternative landing spots, landing airfields, but I'm confident that you won't need them if it's a panic attack. Okay, and if you come on Thursday, we're not only going to talk about how to build a panic plan, but we're going to talk about overwater and extended ETOPS, extended twin engine operating procedures. And we're going to talk about that. And for those of you who are new and haven't ever heard us talk about that, we're going to give you some insights on how we fly safely for long distance of flight. Okay, been a little windy here. What I want to do now is I want to lead in to talk about some of the regular things coming up, special classes. We do this through the graciousness of a fellow named Capt Ron, who owns a studio called Air Hollywood in the north of the Burbank area in Valencia. And for anyone who can be in LA either on September 20th or on October 11th, you will have the opportunity if for as little as $97. If you wait, it goes up to $197. But if you do it early and jump in there, it's $97, and you can come in a special environment where we have actual airplane cabin mock-ups and a boarding area, which is something that most of you don't ever get to participate in until it's the day of the real life event. So take advantage of that. They're really good opportunities if you're in LA on September 20th or October 11th. And of course, these are leading up to something I'll talk about in just a minute, and that is our FearlessFlight or Clifford Takeoff 301 class, which is our flight class. But what are we doing here? On September 20th and October 11th, we'll be hosting this 101 class at Air Hollywood, and it's a full day. in-person class created to help you reclaim your freedom to fly. And what makes us unique, as I mentioned before, is you'll be learning and practicing inside a real, we say narrow body, but sometimes they have a wide body up there. Difference is 1 aisle or 2 aisles. But in any case, it's the very same kind that we use in the Hollywood movies. And you'll be guided by me, along with some other folks there. Sometimes I have some mentors that come to this to keep their own skills up. You're going to be guided by people who understand flight anxiety, mostly me. And most importantly, it's a safe and forgiving environment where breakthroughs happen. And you'll take powerful steps to overcome your fear of flying with more confidence and peace of mind. You can expect a powerful mix of education. You can see the enthusiasm of these people actually sitting in the mock up there. You get to walk through a real boarding process. We spend quite a bit of time there because that seems to be the best place for people to talk about what it's really like in anticipation of flying. And you can experience each step in this safe and supportive setting. You'll learn, we'll talk about breathing. We'll give you a chance to practice it. We'll do some visualizations, and we'll help you develop some mindset tools like reframing that you can use right away to calm your body and focus your mind. There's going to be a live Q&A throughout the experience, and you can get answers to your most pressing questions. And for those ready for more, there's an optional mock boarding and seat exposure practice. You get a chance to rehearse flying without ever leaving the ground. As I indicated before, this is really these are all lead ups, not only these two for our real life Clear for Takeoff 301 class, our graduation class coming up, but for people who have had the benefit of the 101 class here in Phoenix. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to finally step onto a plane with not with fear, but with confidence? If you really felt prepared and supported and proud of yourself for facing some of these things that once it felt impossible, that's exactly what we do in the 301 class. And it's not just another class, it's a culmination of everything you've been learning and practicing. It's a moment where your plan comes into action. You put a plan together, we help you do it in the 101 classes or the 201 or wherever you're at. And together we'll start walking you step by step through your tools, your panic plan, and your strategies. And then you put it all into practice on a real flight, side by side with other people who share the same kind of journey that you're on, and with me coaching you through every step of the way. You're not doing this alone. You'll be surrounded by other people, other fearful flyers. We do take a regular commercial flight on Southwest Airlines. We aren't able yet to charter the whole thing for ourselves. And you'll be guided by me and in all my experience helping people overcome flight anxiety for the last 38 years. And every step of the way, you'll get reassurance and coaching and tools to calm that nervous system that's driving you crazy and to reframe your thoughts. You'll really discover that you can do this. And the graduation flight, the 301 flight or class, is more than just getting from point A to point B. It's about reclaiming your freedom. It's about proving to yourself that you're stronger than the fear and that panic doesn't define your flight experience. You do. And just imagine walking off that plane with a smile, and that's what happens to everybody. Usually it happens within about the first 15 minutes of the flight. And you're going to get a graduation certificate, and you're going to know I faced my fear and I won. So if you're ready to take this journey to the next level, we invite you to take this class, the 301, Clear for Takeoff 301 graduation flight. It's a chance to celebrate all the hard work that you've done and experience firsthand what it feels like to fly with courage and confidence and being supported. And the seats are limited, and each one represents a really, really cool opportunity. So ask yourself, is this something that you could do, and would you do it? Remember, fear is powerful, but so are you. And that's the majority of the work that Dieter and I have been doing over the years. The only way to truly move beyond your anxiety is to step into it with the right tools and the right support. And when you do, it's not just a flight, it's a transformative experience. And so, just another little bit of definition. I tried this in May when we did the last one. What I'll be doing, I position myself in Burbank on the night before the flight. I get up that morning, meet the Burbank students at the Burbank airport. We all get on. We have a little briefing and everything. We get on the airplane. We fly to Phoenix. Anybody in Phoenix who signed up is going to join us. And so now we'll have the Burbank students going back to Burbank and the Phoenix students taking their first flight. It really has kind of a neat twist to it because you got people who were really anxious just a little minute ago in Burbank. Now they have the confidence and they actually end up kind of mentoring the people that we have in Phoenix. And then we'll go back to Burbank. We have some time on the ground there. We'll have a little closing ceremony. We'll pass out certificates and everything. And then those of us going back to Phoenix, including me, will regroup, jump on the airplane, and we'll take our return flight back to Phoenix. It's a fun day. It's a long day for me, but it's a great opportunity, and there's nothing like it. You will make friends with people that you will probably stay in contact with the rest of your life. People sharing the same sorts of things. And in this picture, what you're seeing here is more than just a class. It represents transformation. This is our debriefing from a past 301 graduation flight where everybody gathered in the same way as what we talked in a real airport setting. And the energy in the room is electric. I kid you not. Nervous anticipation to start with, but also hope, courage, and connection. And people who thought they were alone in fear realize that you're part of a whole group of people, and if you connect, there is strength in numbers. You learn side by side, you share other people's stories, you find out that you're not alone, and you find ways to get this. And if you take the flight with us, you get a breakthrough. I'll guarantee it. The moment you step on a real plane, not as a prisoner of panic, but as a participant in your own healing, and we'll be there to guide you every way. And by the end of the day, the smiles tell the story. It is so much fun. It's the most fun that I get out of all the things that I enjoy about this. It is seeing people really overcome some years of panic and stress and get on an airplane successfully. You leave not only with a certificate in hand, but with a brand new sense of confidence and friendships that last, like I said, for a lifetime. And a belief, most importantly, a belief that you can do this. And many people go on to find out they could do other things that they didn't think they could as well. It's the power of the 301 class. It's not just a flight. It is a transformation.
Sandra just said, the 301 reclaimed my freedom. And she also framed her certificate. So I love it.
Yeah. It is. I mean, Dieter's come down from Toronto to join with us. It wouldn't be the same Dieter without having experience flying with people like this. It's just more than you can ever imagine. Okay, so we hope you'll all come and join us. Okay, we can't close tonight without mentioning, at least briefly, the next monthly live monthly group coaching webinar is going to be called Flying Over Water. What if there's nowhere to land? And it's kind of on the theme of navigating the unknown and managing panic. And because of that, we're going to have a special bonus. We're going to talk about this panic plan. It's going to be on September 18th. That's a week from this Thursday, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Again, we really encourage you to come live. There's a real benefit to being here live and meeting other people in the opportunity. But if you can't, it is recorded and there's a replay, and you'll get access to that. You're going to learn the facts about flying not only over water but over parts of land that you never thought about maybe before. If you're going from here to Asia, you're going over the top. If you're coming out of Israel and you're coming to LA, you're going to go pretty close to the North Pole because we fly the Great Circle route, and that is the shortest distance. We'll even talk about why you don't maybe fly where you think you fly sometimes, and why sometimes you think you're going to be flying over water for long flights, but you're really not. And why are long overwater flights among the safest? Yeah, that's true. There's safer, and I don't want to diminish how safe aviation is in general, but ETOPS has led to tighter standards because we don't want something to go wrong when we're over a place that we can't land, whether it be a stretch of land or a stretch of water. And we'll talk to you about ETOPS standards and how we plan the routes and guarantee that there's safe alternatives every second of your flight. We talk about the training that goes in, how pilots are trained for possible scenarios, why you're never as isolated as you think you are. We'll give you some practical panic tools like I mentioned, and we'll teach you a little bit more about reframing what-if thoughts into something that breed confidence and not catastrophe. It isn't just a lecture, it's live, it's interactive, it's done on Zoom, and together we'll identify some of your scariest beliefs about flying over water. We'll talk about the facts that directly challenge those beliefs, and we'll give you practice reframing into calming, confident self-talk. Will help you to visualize a smoother and safer journey across the ocean. And I know some of you, that's the real bugaboo. That's the thing that made you want to come here. Not just flying maybe to a family vacation or business trip. Some of you want to make that trip to Europe and really exercise your wings, pun intended. So why attend? If you've ever avoided international trips, because of the flying over the water seems overwhelming, or if you sat on a long flight feeling trapped and anxious, this is going to be for you. September 18th, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. So you'll come, you'll attend the webinar, and you'll walk away ready to replace this fear with freedom. So close this thing out here. Any other things before I give them some closing words, Dieter?
Not necessarily questions that we need to address, but it was a super lively chat. Gosh, there's a lot in chat. I'm not sure. Some people said some of the links weren't working, so just reach out to us. Stephen and Roxana, I did email you the links as well, so you should be good there. Let me know if they work. And yeah, Amber, you don't need the Cleared for Takeoff 201 class to participate in the 301. What Ron didn't mention, part of your 301 class on the 23rd, is that Thursday? On Thursday the 23rd, we're going to have a virtual pre-flight.
Detailed flight briefing.
Yeah, exactly. Pre-flight webinar for both the folks that fly from Phoenix as well as the folks that fly from Burbank and back. And so that's also included.
Yeah, that's especially interesting for not only people who are flying, but people who haven't flown in a long time. We'll talk about, the boarding process and things like that and how we're going to put the flight together. So yeah, thanks, Dieter. I did forget about that. So, okay.
All right. Wow. That was a full...
long-winded. I hope I really want feedback. We want to know, if this is boring to you guys. We want your questions. So even if you can't, particularly if you're in a birds of a feather group, if you can't make the classes or they just don't, or the weekly shows, give us your questions, because that's what that's what we're here for. We're here to help you, not just entertain ourselves here. So again, I want to thank you so much for those of you who showed up tonight, those of you maybe watching this on the replay, and whether you're joining us live or watching the replay. And when you remember the one key thing, panic does not define your flight experience. You do. That is the hardest thing to grasp for, I think, most fearful flyers. And we talked about panic tonight, what it is, why it happens, and most importantly, things you can do about it. And with this and things like the webinar next week, you're going to get tools and strategies, and you're going to have a community that will walk alongside you through this. If you take nothing else away, let it be this: panic always passes. With practice,
very true.
support, and compassion for yourself, you can fly with greater confidence and freedom. I've seen it in over and over for the 38 years that I've been involved in this process. So I invite you, Dieter and I together, invite you to keep connecting with us, keep asking the questions, keep practicing your plan. Every step you take, no matter how small it is a victory. And until next time, Captain Ron here on behalf of myself and Dieter, we really want to thank you and tell you how much we appreciate you for joining us each week on Fearless Flight Live or the replay. And remember, you're stronger than your fear. And we look forward to seeing you on your next flight. So have a great week. And remember that you can get over this. And we'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.